Hi everybody, welcome to, my name is Lacey. Welcome to Lacey and Mike's Homesteading. I have tried several times today to do this video, and my children are just making it nearly impossible. This is Chase. Hey, hi Chase. Okay, so this today is just to talk about some things that I get from mainly family members, because I don't have a whole lot of people I talk to that I'm not related to, but I have a few. So today is, let me pop my neck, sorry. Today, and I wrote it down on my arm, is a few topics. One being that I'm lazy, that I can't provide for my kids, apparently. I get looks of like disgust and misunderstanding, and that I have too much time on my hands. Now, I'm going to just run through these quickly so the video is not too long for you guys. I get looks of disgust when they realize everything I do, and I think that kind of ties in with the them thinking I'm lazy and that I have too much time on my hands and that I can't provide for my kids. Because when they hear that we grow our own vegetables, we have our fruit bushes that are not producing this year, but hopefully they will be next year. And that, we can food, we do the home cooked meals, we can't, I make my own jelly. If I don't have to get it from the store, I won't. The main things I tend to get from the store are, because I can't grow rice. Or I get like rice, and I get, baking powder, baking soda, flour, basic things like that. But I'll make my own noodles. I'll make my own, because our fruit trees aren't really producing. What I do is I either get the fresh fruit from the store, but I like to do it at the farmer's market more often than not. Or if I absolutely can't do that for whatever reason, I'll get a bag of like the fresh fruit that's been automatically frozen after it's picked. I'll get something like that, but I tend to mainly stick to the farmer's market if there is something I can't do myself, like with fruits, and I'll make my jellies and things like that. And people automatically, and I like to hand wash my clothes. Don't ask me why, I just do, and then I hang them to dry. People find all this out, or they see it, and it's automatically assumed that, I'm too lazy to have a real job, as they put it, or that I can't properly provide for my kids because I don't have a job and I'm just staying at home, and that these are all little projects because I have too much time on my hands, so to speak. When in reality, it is a full-time job. They don't realize how much work goes into that. We had, was having some issues with our property, having things done, which I'll explain in a different video. So right now we've been having to temporarily be more of an apartment, which we'll be getting the place back soon. Anyway, but normally, it's a lot of work. We have our full garden of all kinds of different things, and that's a daily chore right there. Chickens, with eggs, we got rabbits, when it's time for butchering, which I know how to do it, but I tend not to want to do that part myself. Anyway, so we have chickens, we have rabbits. We'll plan to add a new addition and get a couple of goats. Like I said, we do make jelly and can it. We can our own foods, home cooked meals. I like to have powdered milk as a backup because I'm kind of like a little bit of a prepper. I like to have a lot of, not canned vegetables, but other canned foods like tomato paste, tomato chunks, beans, powdered milks. Even though we don't really use those hardly ever, I just like to have that stocked up in our pantry just because, I'm paranoid like that. I grew up in foster care not having a whole lot, and I'm one of those paranoid ones with everything, and I like having that backup just so I feel more secure. But anyway, we do the goat's milk, we do everything else, and that's just how we prefer to live. But people just don't seem to understand it very well. I've had DFS calls stating that we don't have proper food, as they put it, and that the kids don't have everything they need. But then people go through and they look through our cabinets and they see that there is food. Yes, it's jarred. I say canned, but by canned I mean in the jars. From our homemade stuff and everything, and so there's plenty of food. Our cabinets just look different than everybody else's because it's not 95% of it isn't processed stuff from the store. So yes, it's going to look much different than the average person's kitchen, and that's something that has been a debate with people I know for a long time. Now, as another example, I was telling my grandmother yesterday about, my grandmother, the kids' great-grandmother. I was telling them about how, I've been transitioning the kids over. Like in the past, we would do the canned vegetables. I talked about all this stuff, but I never really did much of it before. Like, we're talking like 4 or 5 years ago. Anyway, I started off completely quitting canned vegetables, and I went to frozen fruits and vegetables. Then we went to growing our own, and then we went to having the fresh eggs, and went to having rabbit and chicken meat, and the goat's milk, and then to canning the stuff, and then to making jellies and things like that. It's progressed like that over the past 4 years, I want to say, just about 4 years now. But I was telling my grandma how one of the final transitions, that towards the end of the transitions that we're making, is I was canning fruit, or the jelly, and I was getting I'd made toast and put jelly on it and was having the kids eat that while I would go to prepare the rest of breakfast, kind of tide them over a bit. They didn't want to eat it, and some of my kids' exact words were that it wasn't store-bought, so they didn't even want to try it, even though it was perfectly delicious, I promise. And I was telling my grandma about it, about how I made them eat it. And she's like, well, you need to give in sometimes and get them used to it first. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm not. There's like half a jar left in the fridge from some jelly that was store-bought like a while back. And I was like, after that is gone, there is no more. I'm not buying any more store-bought. They've had a long time to transition with everything else. I was like, I'm not buying anymore. I'm making it. I think it tastes a million times better, personally. Making it fresh, making it yourself, and I don't know, it's nuts. I feel like I don't get what the stigma is against people living like this. People seem to hate it, or people seem to be against it, and I don't understand. Maybe it's just because people, even though like not even 100 years ago, less than that, this is what the majority of people were living like. This is what the majority of people were doing. People have gotten so used to, and there's nothing wrong with electronics, or electric, if that's what people want. I have a phone, I use the internet, but, oh, sorry, I had a thing come up. Anyway, but, people used to live more in tune with themselves, more in tune with nature, more self-sufficient. But people have gotten so used to just electronics day in, day out. They've gotten so used to just going and grabbing the food that everybody thinks it's just absolute craziness to, what's the word someone used, slide backwards, so to speak. As they put it, we were progressing into the future. People shouldn't live like this anymore, type of thing. So that gets very intense conversations sometimes. So I tend to steer away from those if possible. And if people don't understand it, then they just don't understand it. I've learned just to stop trying to explain it to, you know, like friends and family. And, you know, some of my friends and family have gotten used to the idea of me doing that, and it's just a part of if they come over and visit, they know, you know, I have what I have. My mom, not so much. She seems iffy but supportive. She doesn't really see me sticking with it, and she does get a little frustrated because she wants to come over and have a bowl of cereal or something. But all that I have in the fridge is the goat's milk. So if you want cereal, you can have cereal, but it's going to have to be drunk with goat's milk. And because the powdered milk is not being used unless, like, his mom doesn't have available goat's milk at the time and we have to use it, but we haven't had to do that really ever because she has so much goat's milk. She usually, oh gosh, she usually gets at least a gallon a day of goat's milk. At the very least, depending on if, you know, there's bottle feeding or the babies are on the mom's boob or whatever. It just depends. But yeah, anywhere from 1 to 3 gallons a day in the milk. So, you know, we got plenty of that. It's crazy. I just wanted to explain it a little bit to you guys.